But after college, I like to do investment banking for 2-3 years, get my master's, and then try to move on.
This morning I'm pleased to have a student of mine that I taught 10 years ago. I happened to see him walking around and I said, Toshi. No, I didn't. I wish I asked his name. I didn't remember his name, but he told me. And he'd been my student when he was 10 years old, and now he's a grown man. And how am I supposed to recognize him from when he was a little kid up till now? Anyway, without any further ado, let's meet Toshi. Toshi, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, sir.
That's good. Let me ask you this. Let's start off with, where were you born?
I was born in here, actually, Tokyo.
Okay. In Tokyo proper?
Yes.
Okay. And you grew up here your whole life until when?
So I went to elementary school until 4th grade in a Japanese private elementary school.
Right.
And then moved to Singapore until my end of middle school.
Okay.
And then moved off to a boarding school in Hawaii. And then finished my last high school year, senior year, back in Japan, because unfortunately my grandma got sick. I had to come back.
Okay.
She's doing all good now. She swims 5 days a week.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
How old is she?
Oh, she turned 78.
And that's not old. You make it sound like that's old. What do you mean? Like she's... I thought you were going to say 98 or something
no,
like
no.
that. She's 78.
Yes.
But she had a health problem for a second, then she's back on her
Yes.
feet now.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Does she live with you?
Yes, she actually lives right next door.
Okay. All right. So tell me this. So when you were growing up here, at 4 years old, you moved to Singapore.
4th grade.
In 4th grade. So that means, how old were you then?
Oh, I think I was 11, 12?
11 or 12? Now, at that time, you'd already learned how to speak English?
No, it was my first time. I didn't know any English at all, and I moved to Singapore.
Now, when you moved to Singapore, was it a boarding school or was it just on your...
With my family.
With your family?
So I was day school.
Okay. So your father had business there?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of business is your father?
He's in manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
Yes.
And he moved to Singapore.
Yes.
So how long were you there?
I'd say 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And you have siblings?
Yes, I have a younger brother.
Okay. You guys close?
Oh, yeah.
Right. You told me the 3 years difference.
Yes,
All right,
3 years.
That's good. So when you moved to Singapore, what was it like for you? What was the experience?
Oh, it was a complete culture shock. Although, it's still in Asia, but a lot of different ethnicities, right? And then.
Is that what struck you the most?
Oh yeah.
Okay, like what? Tell me. Come on.
Give
me some examples.
The country's language. I thought it was going to be either Chinese or English, but it's actually English. I think Malay, Chinese. So it's an Indonesian, I believe.
Right.
So it's a lot of different Southeast Asia.
What about the religion?
I wasn't really involved that much, but I know mostly it's Buddha.
Okay.
And some Catholics.
Right. So what you see? What were the ethnicities? Where would you see the different groups in Singaporeans?
So I didn't see much foreigners until I moved to Singapore.
Okay.
So there's a lot.
But you grew up in Tokyo.
I did.
But you went to a Japanese school.
Yes, I did.
Were you members of the American Club?
I was.
There's a lot of foreigners here.
Yeah, but
you didn't think of this?
The daily interactions. When I was young, I didn't come to American Club.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of expats, Canadians. I met a lot of Canadians.
In Singapore, you mean?
In Singapore.
Right. So tell me what happened. What was your first experience? You walk into the classroom, you couldn't speak any English?
No.
So what'd you do?
So before moving to Singapore, I studied, basic English for like 4 or 5 months. So I can have some conversations. And so I remember struggling with homework for the first year. Right. My mom would ask, "Hey Toshi, you don't have homework?" And I was like, no homework. But in reality, I did have, a couple of homeworks I had to do.
Does your mother speak English?
Yes, she does.
So she would have been able to help you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But anyway, you said you didn't have any.
No.
Did she catch on?
Yeah.
All right. Then what happened? Where'd you go from there?
And then I lived in Singapore. Thankfully, I've been playing rugby since I was elementary and kindergarten as well, in here. So my best friends that I first made was from my rugby team in Singapore.
Right. And did he only speak English? Did he speak any Japanese?
There was 2 Japanese students, so they would help me out with. With
so he was one of them?
Yes.
Okay. So you had people you could, so when you went to school, you weren't lonely. You had someone to bond with.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And are you still in contact with the guy?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh, really? Where is he now?
Oh, I think he's in London, in university now.
Okay. Do you know what his parents did?
Oh,
His
I
family
have
did?
no idea.
Okay. Because being in the expat community, you're always dealing with kind of the who's who
Right. Right.
of wherever it may be. So you never know, and then you find out later.
Later.
Oh, that guy was the emperor's son? Something like that. You never find that out. So, okay, going through school, what were some of the things that you enjoyed? Were you more academic or were you more sports-minded?
Ooh, I think I was more sports-minded.
Okay.
I'd say, lacking on the academic side for the first couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I picked up English, I think I did pretty well.
And how long did you stay there again? Until what
In
grade?
Singapore? Until the end of middle school, so 8th grade.
8th grade. All right. And what subjects did you start to like by that time?
I hated science.
Okay. All right,
Still
so you know
do.
what you did like. Okay.
But I like math, and I was really interested in history. They
What
taught
type of history?
Singapore history. In that school, they taught a brief history of Singapore.
Okay.
How the first prime minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, started Singapore, gained independence, and then that just got me fascinating. I didn't know it was a brand new country.
So what year did he start it? Do you know?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. But he started way back when,
Yes.
and then here comes Singapore. I have to look that up and find out myself. When was Singapore? So it's a new country.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Wow.
I think his son is the prime minister now.
So is he from China?
I think they're originally from Malaysia.
Malaysia. So they're Malaysians. Okay. Right. What other things did you enjoy doing in Singapore while you were there?
Definitely cooking. Cooking,
Do you
trying
like
out new
cooking?
food. Yes, my mom is a fantastic cook.
So were you encouraged to cook, or did you ask?
I just help out around the house
Okay.
when my mom's cooking. So when I was helping her out, it was really interesting. I still cook to this day.
What type of things do you like to cook?
Well, when we were in Singapore, we tried to cook Singaporean food, so like chicken rice, laksa, satay, trying to marinate the satay. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But
So you did that with your mom?
yes,
Wow. And you still cook now, but you
Yes.
still stay at home, right?
I do.
But I thought you're gonna go back to. Aren't you in school now? Still?
I am. I'm heading back on the 26th.
Now, where are you at school?
So I used to go to Syracuse,
Okay.
but I transferred, so I'll be starting at NYU.
Okay. Now, why are you transferring?
I enjoyed Syracuse a lot. My best friends are still there, but I think I'm more of a type of person during the weekends. I like to go out in the city, meet new people. So I think the opportunity that I can get is bigger in New York City.
And you had to apply, of course, so they let you in because your grade average was high enough,
Yes,
or whatever.
I hope so.
Okay. So what are you going to study?
So I got into this interesting program called the Gallatin School of Individualized Study.
Okay.
So unlike traditional universities or colleges, you can make your own major, and every semester you have to submit like a report of what you're planning on learning, and so what kind of courses you can take, and then at the end of the semester you have to write a report of what you learned and how that's going to affect your learning into your major that you created.
You couldn't do that in Syracuse.
No, I couldn't.
And so that becomes maybe you told me about this before. I think when we talked
I think
earlier.
you get very briefly.
And that was really interesting. I said, so they let you make up your own program.
Mhm.
So it can be in anything you want.
Anything you could want.
So what are you going to do?
So I'll be my major is going to be capital markets and behavioral economics.
So what do you get to do? How are you planning? How do you see this going?
So hopefully, before when I was in Syracuse, I was majoring in finance and management. But Syracuse didn't have a concentration within the major. A lot of the business school nowadays have a concentration within their major. So let's say for finance, for example, they have alternative investments. There's asset management concentrations. There's private equity concentrations. But I kind of know what I want to do. So my plan for now, hopefully it'll work out. But after college, I'd like to do investment banking for 2-3 years, get my master's, and then try to move on to find something new.
Okay. Yeah. So you got this all mapped out.
Hopefully.
Did you have
it'll
anyone
work out.
helping you do this?
The transfer applications?
No.
Or-
I mean, mapping out what you're going to do. This whole process?
I knew I wanted to study business since I was in Singapore, actually.
Okay. What spurred that? What made you start that spark?
So my father would take me out to, you know, his work, lunch, dinners, and so on. And I was
At what age?
Oh, this was before going to Singapore. So I think it was second grade, third grade.
When you were that young?
Yes.
He'd take you out to dinners?
Yes. The whole family would go.
Okay.
See with, you know, my dad's colleagues,
Right.
and all that. So I remember him teaching me, you know, table manners,
Right.
how to greet people
Right.
at a very, very young age.
Such as? Tell me some of the things he would tell you.
The first thing you do, shake your hands, right?
Mhm.
If you have some gloves on, always take it off. Some you know, those minor things that just stands out.
But people don't know.
No.
People don't know. So come on, give me some more. What other stuff would he tell you?
I think this is the Asian culture thing, but the seating for dinners, right? The far end would be to the highest person in the room. If there's a view in like a restaurant, you try to have them, you know, the higher, you know, people sit where they can see outside of the view. And just, you know, drinks. The highest person would get served first, something like that.
What about, let's say, like with your parents? Did they tell you how to act around them? Like, what'd you call your mother?
Mom.
But you didn't do it in English. I mean, did you say?
Oh, mama. I used to call them mama.
Mama? Okay,
Yeah.
what'd you call your father?
Dad or papa.
Dad or papa?
Yes.
Which do you prefer?
Well, now I call him dad.
Dad, okay.
Or when I call my mom, I call him mom. But
Okay.
when I'm outside with my family, I call them father or mother.
Right. That's good. Do you ever call him Mr. Kobayashi?
When I introduce my father to,
Right,
let's say, my
yes.
friend's father or something,
Right.
I say, hi, Mr. Lee, this is my father, Mr. Kobayashi, something like that.
And what about your mom? But your parents are the ones who are responsible for teaching you these manners?
Yes.
You never went to any school or anything like
Oh,
that?
no. Well, it was all done in the house.
That is interesting. Your brother had learned the same thing, right?
Oh, exactly.
They made sure he stood in step.
Yeah.
They had him there while he was teaching you. Yeah. Did he bring him along to a lot of the different events?
Once he reached a certain age, yes.
Okay.
I think he started about the same age as I.
But being the oldest son, you still carry certain responsibilities that he wouldn't carry, right?
I think so. I don't kind of feel it.
Your dad didn't
day-to-day
say
basis.
it? Your dad hasn't said that?
Well, he said, to take care of my brother,
Okay.
take care of my mom,
Right.
and things like that.
If something happened to him
Right.
or whatever, you make sure you're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Are you close with your dad?
Oh yes.
So like, what kind of things do you guys do together?
So my father was playing rugby as well. So he and I share, a strong passion for rugby.
Okay.
So we would go watch rugby games or watch it on TV, and yeah, stuff like that.
What about mom? You're close with her because you cook.
Cook, yes, definitely cooking. My mother and I love cooking together, going out and trying new places for food and stuff like that.
Now I have to tell everyone this. I meet all kind of people all the time, but one of the most important things to me in my life is family. And when I meet someone like Toshi, I like to tell him that, I'm going to tell you right now, his parents, you have done a fantastic job working with your son. And I don't know who taught you how to parent, but that is something that is sorely needed in our world. And it's our responsibility. Anyone can become a mommy or a daddy, but it takes someone who's really put time into it, or was lucky or fortunate enough to have parents who parented them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something they've done. So you're probably going to make a good parent.
Hopefully.
Because I'm sure if you have a boy or a girl, you're going to make sure. Is your family predominantly, who has the most on their family side, your father or your mother?
So my father's side is all passed away now.
Okay.
But my mother's side, my grandmother still lives with us.
Right. Right. Did your mother have sisters and brothers?
No, she was the only child.
Only child. And your father?
He has an older brother.
How many years difference?
I think 3 years, 3 or 4
Same
years.
thing.
Yes.
Okay. Are they close?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know your uncle well.
Yeah.
Does he have any kids?
He does. He
Wait, you make it sound like he has a lot. How many kids does he have?
I think he has 2.
Okay.
He has 2. But
you should know them. You're your cousins.
yes.
Are they around? They're older than you, of course.
They're now working now.
Okay.
I think they're 25 and 28.
Boy and a girl?
Boy and boy.
Boy and... So your family's on your father's side are boys.
Boys, all boys.
Big time.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's interesting. So when you finish school, you say you want to get into banking, investment banking. What reason? Why?
There's a lot of different types of business around the world, but I think the backbone of business is the good financial due diligence and accounting as well. My father taught me accounting is really important, and as well as the business management organization side. But I'd like to be able to support the financial side and make sure companies have a good backbone.
And you plan on working with another company when you start off with?
Yes.
So that's interesting. Okay. What other kind of interests do you have outside of business? You told me rugby. I understand that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you really are fond of?
Yeah, outdoors. I love the outdoors. My brother and I are in a Boy Scouts. I still am.
You're still a part of this Boy Scouts?
Yes.
How far, doesn't it become an Eagle Scout after a while?
Yes. So you get the rank
boy,
of Eagle.
then Eagle.
Yep. Yeah. So I got my rank of Eagle Scout with my brother. I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
About a year before.
Is it age specific too? You have to be a certain age to get
No.
Eagle?
So you have to complete certain merit badges.
You mean you can be really young and be an Eagle Scout?
There's a requirement. So in order to advance in rank, you have
Right.
to stay in. Let's say I think the first one is 3 months in like a leadership position,
Right.
and then after that would be 6 months, and then so the time I think takes 2-3 years at the fastest.
Okay, that's the fastest you can make it. All right, and you've been in for how long?
Oh, I started when I was in 10th grade.
Okay, so that was in Singapore then. When you came back.
it was when you came back. Yep.
And where'd you go to school when you came back? Did you go to international school?
Yes, I went to Canadian International School.
Canadian
International School.
You in Kobe? Wait, they have one in Tokyo.
In Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah, I think you told me that too. When did it start?
I have no idea. I just went there for my senior year.
Okay.
I think it's pretty new.
Right. So you leave when? When do you get back there? In September?
I think I'm coming back on December.
You come back in December for the winter?
Yes.
Well,
New Year's is a very important tradition for my family. So we would have New Year's in Japan.
Are you thinking about, I know this is a little advanced to ask you this, but are you thinking about ever having a family of your own?
I'd like to, once I'm older and mature enough.
Okay. Do you think you'd want to have kids too?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yes.
That'd be your reason for wanting to get married.
Right.
And it's good to hear that you're close to your dad and your mom.
Oh yes. We're very, very close.
Is that right? So you do a lot of things together?
Yes, we go, just little things here and there, but we do a lot of things as a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are they really religious?
My father's side is Catholic.
So is my father's side.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, our actually family church is right down the road, St. Andrews.
St. Andrews?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he actually goes to church?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But he did for a while.
He did for a while.
What do you mean? Because he had to as a kid, you mean?
I know my father told me he used to go to Sunday Mass
Okay.
with his family, but not when he was older.
So can you think of anything else that you'd like to discuss or talk about in this podcast?
I'd like to know a bit about you, Mr. Lee.
Oh, you're going to ask me? What is it?
So how did you end up here?
In the club or in Japan?
Well, in Japan and the club.
I came here in the Air Force in '74.
Oh.
And that's because I had put in for Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I joined the Air Force to get away from Vietnam, but ended up putting in for Vietnam because I hadn't been outside the continental United States.
Okay.
And I'd gotten a draft notice, so I had to stay in 4 years at least. So I joined the Air Force, which I figured would keep me far away from Vietnam, which it was doing. So my last year and 4 months I didn't want to spend it in the States, so I put in for Vietnam. They said, we can't give you Vietnam, but we can give you Japan.
Oh, were you in Yokota or?
But they stationed me at they gave me orders for Tachikawa.
Okay.
And when I got here, I found out that base was being closed.
Oh.
So they had to recut my orders, which took a while, so they allowed me to travel on their expense
Oh wow.
wherever I wanted. So I could have been sent back to the States if I wanted, but I didn't. I traveled around Japan. And then I stayed in they call it casualty barracks. I stayed in casualty barracks until they cut my orders.
Okay.
And then I was stationed at Yokota.
Oh wow.
And I spent 2 years there, got out, was an investment consultant. Did that for a while, taught at the Yokota High School, then I ended up teaching at SIJ, physical education.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I taught there for 3 years,
Oh,
Chofu.
nice.
And then I taught at the nursery school for 2 years
Okay.
in Nakameguro, for my own company, gymnastics company. And then I brought in fitness equipment, and then I got into I got married, then I got into medical equipment, CT scanners, MRIs, and did that for 10 years. It's been a journey. Then I ended up being the president of the American Chamber, and then the first American to be president of both the American Chamber and the American Club, and opened this facility in 2011.
Yes. I remember going to the old club when it was temporarily, with the pool outside with the jumping.
The diving board. We had everything. That was the place. People loved that.
Oh yeah.
In the summertime, it was packed.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, it was so nice. And we had a 10-lane bowling alley at one time.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
We had 10 lanes, yeah. And then we took 4 lanes away and made it 6 lanes and made a fitness center. Because when I first came to the club, fitness was not a deal.
Okay.
Nobody was into fitness. Everybody went swimming and did other stuff, but there's no such thing as real fitness.
Oh wow.
Matter of fact, I started the first fitness committee here in this club too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh. I think I come here for maybe 5-6 days a week, just to use the gym and then head back out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why do you stay fit? What is it?
So I used to be bigger about a year ago.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why? Because poor eating habits or what?
I don't know. I think poor eating habits. Also rugby. My position was a forward.
So you needed to be big. So you wanted to have the
big.
bulk, yeah.
But comparing from about a year ago, I think I lost about 30 kilos.
Okay.
In front of the gym.
On purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'd say half. The food in Syracuse wasn't as good. College food.
So you had no interest in eating so much?
Not really.
So you can miss a meal and not worry about it?
Oh, no.
I feel better about it. Do you think it's going to be better in New York?
I think so. I hope so.
Have you've been there already,
yes,
haven't you?
Yes.
So
it's very expensive. Everything's so expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
I was so surprised. I saw Ichiran ramen. It's like $30 a bowl.
No way.
I was like, there's no way I'm eating Ichiran in New York City.
Really?
Yeah. With tip, tax, that'll be 40-ish.
Oh, that's even outside of the campus?
Yes, outside campus.
Oh, I see, outside the campus, yeah. And the tipping, that's hard for me to get. Oh, yeah. I really wish they'd just say, no tipping, and just pay everybody.
Right. Just charge a service fee.
So yeah, tell me what it is, and let's just pay that. But I don't want to have to think and guess, and someone smiling at me that doesn't feel like smiling at me. If they don't want to work here, don't let them work here.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. So where do you like that you've been in the world? Have you been other places outside of Singapore, Japan, and the U.S.?
Yes. So I've been fortunate enough to go visit a couple of different places.
Such as?
Hong Kong. I used to go there. I actually lived there in Hong Kong, I believe, for about a year or two when I was very little, so I don't remember much. I went to France. My brother actually finished an internship this summer in France, which he enjoyed very much, in Nice. So
does he speak French?
He does a little bit. He's been studying French for 2 years now.
Okay. You guys play one-upmanship? Like, okay, you got this language now, I got this. How many languages do you speak?
Just 2, English and Japanese.
Well, he has 2, and he's getting ready to add a 3rd, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He was picking up Chinese with me when we were in Singapore for a little bit, but we forgot most of it.
Right. So where have you been that you've enjoyed the most so far?
I'd say the U.S. I really enjoy the U.S. Especially New York City. Next spring, I'm planning on going. Hopefully, it'll work out. But planning on going to Montana, Wyoming with a couple of friends of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen much of the U.S. yet? Just the East Coast?
Just New York, Boston, and Los Angeles in California a little bit.
Okay. You haven't been to Hawaii yet?
I have. I lived there.
You lived in Hawaii? Wait just a minute. You kind of find all these things are popping up all of a sudden. So you lived in Hawaii for how long?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. How old were you when you lived there?
From 9th grade and then the end of 10th grade.
Okay. You make it sound like you just came from one place to the next, from here to Singapore and then back.
Yes.
But you lived in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
You've been in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong for a little bit, and then Japan. Mostly Japan.
You ever live in Korea?
No.
Have you been to Korea yet?
I have.
Okay, but just as vacation or what?
Yes, just for vacation.
Okay. Have you been to the Philippines yet?
I think I have, but when I was really small.
Okay, let's talk about what you're conscious of that you know. So you haven't been there since you've gotten older.
Right.
Singapore. What about Malaysia?
Yes, Malaysia. We used to go there a lot, and Malaysia and Indonesia.
Australia. You've been to Australia?
Yes, I was checking out the family album, and I saw a picture with me and a koala.
How old were you then?
Oh, I was really small.
Okay.
I'd still say 3rd grade, 2nd grade.
Have you been to any place in Africa yet?
South Africa, Cape Town.
You've been to Cape Town. All right. Where in Europe have you been outside? Have you been to France?
France, I have just for a little bit road trip for
Germany?
2 days. Germany layover, but no.
Layover, okay. Where else in Europe have you been? Have you been to Italy?
No, I have not. I'd like to.
Spain?
Nope.
Okay. England?
England, no, not yet.
You haven't been to England yet?
Yeah. So I like to go visit Switzerland,
Okay.
London, yeah, maybe Monaco.
What about Russia?
I have not, no.
What about China?
Shanghai.
Shanghai, you've been to Shanghai? Okay, since there. Because I went into it when they just opened
Mhm.
to the outside world. Yeah, in
Wow.
the 70s, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So you want to go to those other places.
Mhm.
Do you have any particular place you think you want to live once you get out of school?
So I don't know. It's still early, but my retirement plan. I was talking about this with a friend of mine in Syracuse. Is to just live during the summer and the fall in Montana or Wyoming, and then during the winter probably back in here or New York City.
Why Montana? Why in the middle of the U.S.?
So I saw the TV show Yellowstone, and it's about a generation of family ranchers in Montana, and just so beautiful. Montana is I've only seen it in pictures, so hopefully I'll check it out in real life in spring break. But it's such a beautiful place and it's so calm.
So you wouldn't miss the ocean or anything?
No. I like the valley, the quiet middle of nowhere.
Question I'd like to, before I end the podcast,
Mhm.
Toshi, there's a question I'd like to ask everyone. You spent 20 years on this planet now. If you could go back in time with the knowledge you have, your 20
Mhm.
years here, and give advice to the younger Toshi,
Mhm.
how old would that young Toshi be, and what advice would you give him?
So I learned this, I'd say, trick about 2 years ago. Is the can do and just do it attitude. And then like I mentioned, when I first started in Singapore, I was really shy. Right, so I didn't want to try new things. I didn't want to go talk to new people because I was, just stepping out of the comfort zone. So I'd say, for advice to young kids or to myself, just do it. There's no, downside of asking or just going talk to people. The worst case, is just someone saying no. That's it.
But if you don't ask, you automatically have
Exactly.
a no.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Toshi, I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much for your time.
It's been fantastic. I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like and subscribe. And never forget, it's all on loan, so continue to reach for the stars.
Because you're too blessed to be stressed.